Hey y'all, it's Bear, and today I'm here to tell you my 2022 BuzzwordAthon TBR. BuzzwordAthon is a readathon created by my friend Kayla from Books and Lala, and I will leave the announcement video for 2022 linked down below. Basically, every month has a buzzword, and you read a book with that buzzword in the title. And I just took a quick glance through my physical TBR, and I decided I found a book for each month, and now I'm going to show them to you today. Still want to continue prioritizing my physical TBR and getting the books off my TBR that I already own rather than adding a ton of new books. I have other ones that are coming out in 2022 that could fit for the month they come out in, but these are just ones that I have on my shelf right now. The prompt for January is who, what, when, where, and why. And for that I have What They Did to Princess Paragon by Robert Rohde. And this book is about a comic book writer who is trying to kind of revamp this old comic book superhero named Princess Paragon. And in order to do that, he decides he's going to make her a lesbian. I don't know all the ins and outs of this book, but it was recommended to me a while ago by my fiance Will, and they haven't steered me wrong yet on a book that they've recommended, so I definitely want to prioritize this one in 2022. February is pronouns: we, our, they, he, she, theirs. And for that, I want to read We Can Only Save Ourselves by Allison Wisdom. This I've talked about a little bit on my channel, and I'm disappointed that I haven't read it yet. It's one of my kaboom books is what I'm calling them, the books I have to read before October of next year or else they self-destruct and I have to unhaul them. And this follows a popular teenage girl who's a cheerleader and valedictorian. She's perfect, right? She's the perfect person. And then one day she just kind of up and joins this guy's cult. I love cult books, and I think this one sounds really interesting. It's not one I've heard a lot of people talk about, and I'm excited to read it. I need to read this one soon. The March is locations, and this is one I had trouble picking out because I wanted to find a real location like Paris or Florida. Looking through my books, I found Gloom Town, and town is a location, and also the name of the town in this book is Gloom, so it's a location two-way, so it's double points. And this one follows a boy named Rory who gets a job working for this creepy guy in a manor, kind of like an antique-y situation. It's a coastal town. Lovecraftian horror is what it's described as. It's a middle grade Lovecraftian horror novel. This one's also on my books that will self-destruct in a year, and it's my Patreon book club pick for March. So April was the hardest one, and that was big and little. I could not find anything big, little, tiny, small, huge, vast, etc. What I did find is deeper. Does that count? Big, right? You're going deeper. I don't know if it counts, but I'm counting it. So In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens, which is gay, pirate, prince, rogue, a little bit of magic. It's queer pirate fantasy. And this is actually one that I DNF'd a while back, as a soft DNF, because I do want to finish it, and I think, it'll be a good time. I think in April it'll have been out for around a year, so that's more than enough for me to read it. May I'm cheating on too, because the prompt is directions. I don't have anything with north, east, west, up, down, sideways, over, under, anything. But what I do have is King of the Rising by Case and Calendar. See, it's rising up. I also want to say I did not get this arc from the publisher, so it's not overdue. One of my friends got a copy and knew how much I loved Queen of the Conquered, which is right there behind me. So they sent me their arc. And this takes place in kind of a Caribbean-inspired fantasy situation. At least the first one does. In this one, we follow a man who is a former slave who is leading the survivors of this revolution to freedom. But they're running out of food, and they're running out of supplies, and their oppressors are starting to kind of creep back into power, and it's up to him to save the day. I'm really interested to see how this one plays out in comparison to Queen of the Conquered, because the Queen of the Conquered was pretty magic heavy, so I'm curious to see if King of the Rising will be magic heavy. Okay, June was all. I don't have anything with the word all, so I am 100% cheating on this one. These 3 months I was really, really hard to find a book for. I'm going with The Hallowed Ones by Laura Bickle, and let me tell you why it works. All owed. Hollowed. It counts. I'm counting it. Don't say it doesn't. Follow this girl named Kate who is going on her Rumspringa, but something happens, and I believe society starts to collapse around them, but because the Amish people are pretty secluded, they consider themselves safe. But then Kate finds this stranger who's sick in their village, and vampire. This one was very hyped on BookTube a good number of years ago. Like, whenever I first started watching BookTube, people were praising this one. And because I've been getting more into vampire novels recently, I wanted to pick this one up and see if it holds up to the hype. For July, we have Bookish Words. I had a couple that I could have picked for this one with, like, paper and library, and even, like, some with book in the title. But I'm going with The Drifting Classroom. And this is a bind-up of several volumes of manga that follow this school that just enters a different realm one day. The whole school just vanishes, and there's like demon-y monster things trying to kill off the teachers and the students, and it's like a survival horror manga. The bag just says, out of nowhere an entire school vanishes, leaving nothing but a hole in the ground. While parents mourn and authorities investigate, the students and teachers find themselves not dead, but stranded in a terrifying wasteland where they must fight to survive. Gorgeous. I am so glad that I have gotten into manga in the past couple of years, and I'm excited to read this. Okay, I don't think August should have been as hard as it was, but it's like items or objects. So like things, nouns, like things. Didn't realize how few books on my TBR actually had objects. There's a lot of like things, but not objects. So I have lots that are like lake, house, street, girl, man, you know, stuff like that are nouns, but they're not objects. So I have Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee. And this one follows a boy named Noah who is an expert on meet cutes, or so everyone in the world thinks. He runs this blog called the Meet Cute Diary that's full of like trans meet cutes and happily ever afters, but an online troll tries to expose him as being single. So it's a fake dating, romance, novel, trans good time, heart-wrenching, it's gonna make me cry. And the fake dating comes from a person who walks into Noah's life who agrees to fake date, but then Noah starts to realize that like fake dating and real dating is a lot harder than like writing stories about it on the internet. So in September we have Light and Dark, and this one was very easy actually, and that's Dark and Deepest Red by A.M. Macklemore. Once again, this is not a copy that was sent by the publisher. This is an arc that someone did not want anymore and sent to me because I wanted a copy. It says, Two Girls 500 Years Apart takes place in summer of 1518. And then 5 centuries later. Honestly, I don't think I trust any author except A.M. Macklemore to pull that off. So I have started this one, and I did DNF it a while ago, but I love A.M. Macklemore's writing. I know that I would love this one, it just wasn't what I was wanting at the time. And they have this way of writing like really beautiful, whimsical fairy tale stories. Okay, October, we have Creatures or Animals, and I usually only read horror in October as a rule, but I have Phoenix Extravagant by Yoon Ha Lee. I will probably read this before October. This is just my placeholder for now, but I'm definitely reading it between time of filming this video and October. Artist is recruited to paint dragons, like mecha dragons, for the government to use. They discover that like the dragons are being used for very bad crimes and it's all corrupt, and they decide that they're going to pull out of it because their personal politics don't let that happen. But they end up stealing a dragon and find a way to fight. And I've heard nothing but great things about this. I like the books that I've read from Yoon Ha Lee in the past. I'm very excited for it. And also, like, dragons. I haven't been reading a lot of fantasy lately, but I hear that this one is like a good blend of science fiction and fantasy, and I've been getting way more into science fiction lately for some reason, so I'm hoping that it'll work for me in like a fun genre-bendy way. Okay, November, it's Words with ING. I will be changing this one because in every November I only read books by Indigenous authors, but I don't have anything currently on my TBR at the moment. But as a placeholder is Darling Rose Gold by Stephanie Roble. This is kind of based on a true crime case that you may be familiar with. Basically, this follows dual perspectives, one of a mother with Munchausen by proxy. I will leave information about that link downstairs if you want to learn more about it. And her daughter, like X amount of years later, after her mother is released from prison. The daughter has to take care of the mother because she's been in jail for so many years, but instead decides to get revenge. I love a good revenge story. I love anything with like real true crime vibes that I can like kind of see where they took inspiration from real cases, and this is gonna be great. I've heard very mixed things about this, but I think this might be one of like my perfect books. Finally, in December, we have Numbers, and what else could I pick but the ones we're meant to find? One is a number. Ones is multiple ones. Ones is a multiple of 1. Ones is more than one. So it's numbers, it counts. And this is a cli-fi science fiction fantasy. I'm not sure which genre it fits into. I believe it's more science fiction than fantasy. It follows 2 sisters who are trying to find each other. One has woken up stranded on an island with no idea of what's going on, and the other one is working in a lab to try and like figure out everything that's happening with the climate. This was one of my most anticipated books, and it's such a shame that I haven't gotten to it yet, and I kind of kick myself every time I see it on my shelf. Like, I should have read that already. So I'll probably read it before December of next year, but just in case I don't, this is an accountability thing. So those are the 12 books I plan on reading for BuzzwordAthon. If you are planning on participating, let me know what some of your TBR books are. Let me know how you plan on participating, to what capacity. Personally, I'm just going to try and read 1 book a month that fits the prompt. I'm not going to try and make it a whole reading theme. If you enjoyed this video, you can let me know by liking, subscribing, sharing, etc., as well as answering the comment question of the day. Comment question of the day: let me know of a book with the word all in the title, because that was the hardest one for me to find. Let me know of a book with the word all. If you don't have time, you don't have the spoons, you don't have an answer, you don't want to answer, let me know you made it all the way until the end of the video by leaving a yellow heart emoji or a smiley face emoticon. All my social media links, as well as everything and everyone I've mentioned today, will be downstairs, as well as places you can support me further, like that Patreon I mentioned, my Amazon wishlist, and my PayPal. Alright, I hope you have a wonderful, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you next time with another video. Thank you for watching. Okay, cool. Bye.